Hey YouTube, I got an actual useful video for you today. I think it'll be useful. It was useful to me. First, I want to tell you, you need one of these carts. This is probably the most useful thing, the best addition you can make to your shop. And it sounds stupid, but until you've had one, you don't understand what it's like. Think about all the times when you've had to move from one place to another to work on something. For example, my workshop is 120 feet from my garage. Well, if I want to do something to the car and I don't want to drive the car over here, if I want to work on, I don't know, something in the garage, let's say, don't drive me crazy. I have to put wrenches in my pockets and screwdrivers in my pockets, and I have to hold things and balance things, and I drop stuff. And then if I have the wrong tool, I got to walk all the way back to the workshop. And then when I'm working on whatever I'm working on, what do I end up doing? I do the same thing you do. Either I put the tool down on the thing that I'm working on, which is dumb, or I put it down on the ground and I have to bend over and bend over and bend over. And yeah, there's other ways to get around it. I mean, you can wear a tool belt, but they're uncomfortable. They don't hold all that much. Stuff falls out of them. I mean, a tool belt's a great thing to have when you don't have anything better. But a cart is the way you want to go. You can put something really heavy on this thing, and it just sits there until you need it again. It's spectacular. I think this was 39 bucks. I'm not sure. Harbor Freight, and I believe they let me use a coupon, even though they weren't supposed to. God bless them. It's kind of a pain to put together because it has, well, let's see, 16 screws per level, 16 bolts, and 3 levels, so 48 bolts you got to assemble, and then there's another 16 to hold the casters on. And the one big problem about this thing, I've got it cluttered with junk right now because I'm still recovering from my move up here my final move, which I did in December. I still got junk that I haven't dealt with. But anyway, there's one little issue with it. It's a little bit on the narrow side. The feet, the casters are pretty far. I'll get my beer paddle pointer. The casters are kind of a little farther inboard than they should be, and that's because Harbor Freight reinforced the bottom with 2 thin strips of metal, one on each side. And in order to make it work well, they had to come up with a compromise. How much of the base, the lower tray, do we want to reinforce, and how far outboard do we want to put the casters? And they compromised. If you want to fix that, you can screw this thing to a 2x6 on each end, and then screw the casters to the 2x6 a little farther out. I'm thinking about welding some short metal strips, across it. But it's good the way it is. Just don't be crazy. Don't knock it over. But what I was trying to get at here is it's extremely useful, and you won't understand how important it is until you have it. I don't know what it holds. It's some ridiculous amount of weight as long as you distribute it evenly. And the metal's not very thick, let's be honest. But unless you do really crazy things with it, you're not going to hurt it much. I've got one dent in here someplace. It's very small. So I bought this thing and got it home, and I thought to myself, I don't want to ruin the paint, and I don't really want the trays interacting with whatever I put in them. So I don't want to end up, a year from now with a red cart with rust-colored trays on the inside. So I thought, what am I going to do? And I thought, well, I could get some veneer and saw it and stick it in there, or who knows. I thought about using toolbox liner. Now this stuff is a complete ripoff. First of all, there's one kind that it looks like it's woven, but it's not. It's just stamped that way. It's some kind of toxic synthetic foam, and it works okay, except it's more expensive than it should be. I think it's cheaper if you buy it as kitchen drawer liner than toolbox liner. Same thing, not positive. But the other thing that's wrong with it is a lot of these synthetic things, maybe all of them, I don't know anything about chemistry, but a lot of them are made with solvents, and the solvents don't completely disappear, okay? So you can have a problem with the solvent in your liner interacting with your screwdriver handles and anything plastic, anything rubber that you put in. I've had people say, oh, that never happens. That never happened to me. Well, you know what? Maybe you never broke your foot, but I broke mine once. Did I imagine it? It does happen. So it's very expensive considering what you get. And what I found is they'll sell it in rolls. They'll sell it in like 10-foot rolls, and you need 10 feet and 9 inches to do 3 drawers. I think, and I'm sure they think about that when they're packaging it. So you end up buying one more roll than you really need. Anyway, I don't like it, and I think it's overpriced. And I thought, well, I'll just get some linoleum. Linoleum has to be cheap, and I found out linoleum is actually expensive. So that bummed me out. It would be perfect though. It would be really good for this. So what was I going to do? Well, I had a brainstorm, and storm may be the wrong way to end that compound word, in retrospect. But anyway, I had this idea. I said I'll get some kind of spray, some kind of vinyl or rubber spray, and spray the inside. I'll tape it up and spray it, and everything will be great. So I wanted it to be light in color. The older you get, the less you're going to want to deal with cabinets and drawers and things that are black on the inside. And what do people who make tools do? They paint everything without exception, black on the inside. And we get to a certain age and you open your tool cabinet, all you see is darkness. It's like there's a singularity in there. You know, it's annoying. And you have to put lights in there, or like I have this big Husky tool thing here, this cabinet that I stuck over here on the wall. And I put wheels on it. Everybody said you're not supposed to do that. Well, tough. Well, it's black on the inside. I got so tired of rooting around in the dark, I finally took the doors off and put it out in the grass, and I sprayed the inside of it white. That's how annoyed I was. So I wanted this to remain red or some light color. And I thought, well, I can spray white paint on it. And I thought, that'll look bad. I mean, why not have something that looks reasonably normal instead of red and white? That's ridiculous. So what I ended up doing was I bought a product called Flex Seal, and a Flex Seal is a TV product. And I think we all know TV products don't always live up to the hype. Some are really good. Like if you've ever had a Ron Popeil rotisserie, magnificent, wonderful. The stuff you can cook in there, turkeys, prime rib, fantastic, excellent, wonderful, 5 stars. But other things are overpriced or they're just garbage. So but I decided to take a chance. I mean, the Popeil thing worked out. So, by the way, a little side story. I used to work for, I was a budding patent attorney, and I worked for Sam Popeil's former patent attorney. And Sam Popeil was Ron's father. Ron and Sam hated each other. And one of Sam's projects, Sam created the Pocket Fisherman. If you remember, that was a totally, completely pathetic product, but people bought them. One of the things that he told me about Sam Popeil was that he had a product called the Bionic Knife, which was like a Ginsu, and it came with a silly cutting board case you unfolded. Well, the reason he named it the Bionic Knife was that Ron Popeil, at least Sam believed this at the time, was shacking up with Lindsay Wagner, the Bionic Woman, and he just wanted, needle his son. So that's an interesting little sidelight. So, where am I going with this? Oh, I bought Flex Seal, which is a TV product, and you spray it on things, and it forms a rubbery coating, not rubber, and it seals up, and it's supposed to be great. And you can saw your car in half with a chainsaw, and then spray this stuff on it, and it'll hold it together supposedly. I mean, I'm making things up. They post a lot of highly optimistic. They put a lot of highly optimistic claims in their commercials. Let me put it that way. But I thought, well, surely it'll work for this. So I taped this thing off, and I sprayed all 3 trays with it. And I used the clear version, so that way it'd still be red on the inside. I thought, I'm brilliant. Look what I've done. Well, one of the things that I wanted to do, I wanted to use these magnetic trays in my cart. Everybody's seen these things. I stuck them in there, and I started working on, well, you know what I worked on. I worked on what everybody worked on. I worked on small engines. Everybody that has even a tree has something with a small engine on it, a chainsaw, a blower, or something. And I have a whole bunch of them because I got a lot of trees. So, as we all know, liberals have destroyed gasoline. It's full of ethanol now, and it's ridiculous. All it does is make money for corporations that grow corn. It doesn't make fuel cheaper. It's bad for the environment. It produces unbelievable amounts of CO2. To produce ethanol, you have to make, essentially, you're making an undrinkable beer and then distilling it, So, yeah, a lot of carbon dioxide. Food's more expensive. It's just bad. Ethanol's bad, and it destroys vehicles. It destroys any vehicle that's not set up for it because ethanol fills up with water. It's a terrible fuel. Anyone with any brains, even like 100 years ago, should have known that sooner or later the future of vehicles was not ethanol. It was electricity. We just didn't have the technology. Well, now we're just about there, and I love the internal combustion engine, but it's on the way out. Ethanol is not going to be the replacement. It's just a terrible, awful thing. And it's funny because people vote for it, people who vote for Democrats, they think it's this wonderful thing that's saving the world. Little girls all over the world that, hate their fathers and wear black dresses and practice Wicca. They're all saying, oh, I have to vote for Al Gore's buddies because they're getting rid of pollution and they're filling the world with ethanol, this wonderful, righteous fuel, and it's a total crock. Anyway, it's stupid. But I had to work with these engines all the time, because what happens when you have ethanol in your small engines? Well, they stop up. If you don't use your chainsaw for 6 weeks, it stops up. And then I found out the environmentalists had actually even changed the formulas in some of the, what do they call them, stabilizers. Like Sta-Bil apparently is not the same. It doesn't have the same formula it used to. So you put it in your chainsaw and you think, oh, now I'm all set. And then you pick up the chainsaw 6 weeks later and it doesn't work. And you have to, the easiest thing to do is to buy a new carb for $12 on Amazon, believe it or not. But anyway, I worked with a lot of stuff that had gasoline in it. And what did I find out? Well, either, I'm not sure whether it was both or whether it was just one, but either the rubber on the bottom of this magnetic tray and the ethanol and the gasoline, or both, dissolved this. Well, you know what? The Flex Seal's gone, but it dissolved. I'm pointing at it like this is Flex Seal. It's not. It dissolved the Flex Seal. So now I had this rubbery, gooey stuff in there. And it just wasn't going to work. Flex Seal is apparently highly soluble in just about everything that you would that you might get on a tool cart. So I went into hysterics. What am I going to do now? I mean, this thing's got 3 trays on it. How do you get it off? And I started trying different solvents. And I believe acetone actually eats the paint on this, so you can't use that. And denatured alcohol won't work. And I finally had some success with turpentine, but it really just turned it into kind of a jelly that smeared around. And I realized I was going to be out here using 2 rolls of paper towels per tray, trying to get this stuff off. It was going to take forever. And eventually I decided to try the obvious thing, which I didn't want to do. I used gasoline, or should I call it gasohol? I'm not sure. Put a little gasoline in here. There was still a little turpentine in here. Maybe the mixture is better than either one by itself. I don't know. But gasoline takes this stuff right off, and if you're careful, you won't burn yourself to death. You won't blow up your garage or anything like that. So I took it off. I got rid of it with gasoline, and I was very happy. So I've done 1 tray, and I'm going to do the others. Well, then I still needed something to fill this, something to to cover it. You got a $39 cart. You don't want to go out and spend a huge amount of money on plywood or whatever, acrylic, Lexan. And I wanted, like I said before, I wanted something thin so my magnetic trays would work. Well, I looked and looked and looked, and one day I was looking at Lowe's, their website, and I found this stuff. This stuff is 20 inches wide, and the roll is 30 feet long, and I don't know if you can see, but it's marked off in little 1-inch squares, so it's easy to measure. It's clear. It looks like it's not clear because it has paper on it. What you do is you unroll it, and you stick it on here. It's self-adhesive. And now you got a nice clear surface. Now I haven't tested it with gasoline, but this stuff is made for kitchens. I'm reasonably certain this stuff does not dissolve in gasoline. If it does, I just won't post the video. But anyway, I put it on here, and it doesn't look that great because it's hard to spread out evenly. Maybe sooner or later I'll fix that. But now what have I got? I got this very easily replaced, zips right off, very easily replaced layer of stuff in here, protecting my cart. It's still red. The magnet still works. And I got 30 feet of this stuff, 30 feet. So if I get another cart, or if I have something else that I want to line, or who knows, I might want to use it in the kitchen, I'm all set. I am ready. So I don't know where I'm going to go from here. I'd like to do some more modifications. I'd like to put a power strip on this thing, and maybe put a rail for my angle grinders. I'm not sure, but spectacular tool. And if you spend $13 on a roll of this stuff, I wish I knew where to get it cheaper, but I don't. You can line it, and that'll protect it, and it won't be dark, and your magnetic tray will stick. And gasoline will not melt it, as far as we know at this point. So this is actually a useful tip. Sometimes I come up with something good. So hope it's a blessing to you, and feel free to comment. Just say anything snotty, I'll delete it. Bye.